This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
There he is, John Ruiz. There's no doubt he wants them to win. John, good morning, my man. How are you doing, sir? Thank you for joining us. Oh, wait a minute. We're not hearing him. Your mic is not on. Mike, let's see.
Hear me now?
There we go. I got you, baby. How you doing, John?
Good morning. Hope you guys are doing well. Thank you for inviting me.
We are doing good, man. It's great to have you on. And first of all, I just find the concept of Life Wallet actually really, really cool because it's a real convenience. And where did you get the idea of doing something like this? Because most of us are always searching for our medical information, and it's like you go from one doctor to another, and if you've been around long enough on this earth, one of your doctors retires, and then you have to get a new one, and then transferring that information. You're doing something that's going to make life a lot easier for a lot of us, actually.
Absolutely. And it's not just making life easier, it's actually about saving lives, because when you start researching and you understand what happens with people's health conditions, there's really three components to it. It's, seeing a doctor or a number of physicians, and then the doctor having the tools, whether it be pharmaceutical product, medical devices, or diagnostic equipment, to assess what your problem is and then try to solve it. But what they're missing is your historical medical records. If you really think about it, and if somebody is in the unfortunate situation where they have to call rescue, or they're involved in an accident, and you have kind of an emergency, the first 20, 30 minutes are trying to assess what the condition of the patient is. Life Wallet erases that, because what we do is we get all your historical medical history by way of medical records and pharmaceutical records, and then you have them accessible, and we're connected to just about every first responder system in the whole United States of America. So that means that you can be anywhere in the U.S., and God forbid you're in a difficult situation, mentally or from a health condition perspective, physical condition, then you're able to access that, which is part of the problem, right? So in addition to that, as you well stated, one of the biggest issues that exists is, we've all experienced this. You go to a doctor, you're there in the waiting room, they give you a sheet of paper, you got to fill in your name and your social and your insurance information. That's a really antiquated system, and it lends itself for a lot of errors, right? Because people are writing down your social instead of you giving it to them. So what I did basically is I bifurcated the world, and I said to myself, who knows about your name, first, last, your relatives, your social security number, your insurance? It's you, but you're not necessarily the person that knows about your medical history or condition. So I divided that into two. So we developed this registration system through Life Wallet, that before you even go to the doctor, you put up all your information, and you only do it once. And then every time you're going to go to a doctor, you no longer have to register at the doctor. And the real design and cool nature of it is we do it through biometrics. So biometrics is kind of like a fingerprint or DNA. Everybody's face is very unique in a certain way, and we capture that by 2,200 different points, and we have 6,800 voice recognition. So that means that nobody can ever confuse who's going to the doctor, that you're actually there, and it avoids a lot of the fraud that the government sees also, because a doctor can't bill without having this biometric recognition. And then so it's a sender and a receiver. And the sender is basically you're going to the doctor. When you get to the doctor receives you. You no longer have to wait at the waiting room. When they bill, it goes much quicker. The experience is much better. So whether it's an emergency or not, it's just better all around.
And by the way, to that list of yours, you said it during that thing, you got to add in a fourth one is time.
Oh, absolutely.
Time becomes of the essence there, because obviously you got to resolve all of this. By the way, and being a crypto geek like I am, I'm just thinking about it. Are you a crypto guy, by the way? Are you a crypto investor?
Some people call me a creepo, but not a crypto, but so
okay.
It's still close. But no, so what I'll tell you is
there's a company called Secret Network.
Okay.
The coin is out now. It's on OK Coin, which is, of course, this is one of our sponsors. We are in the OK Coin studios, and what they do, because I'm sure you know this, on the blockchain everything's public. That's why it's actually easier to even go after people that are doing illegal things.
Right.
That's something that some of our people in the government actually don't understand. That it's actually easier to track, illegal activity on the blockchain than it is in anywhere else. But what the secret network does is it actually hides all the transactions now. So it will not be public. Why is it doing that? For medical information, for
Exactly.
things like that. So I would imagine that Life Wallet's next step is to be on the blockchain. I would
No,
imagine, right?
it is already. It is already. So
Oh,
we have
wow.
our own.
Nice.
Yeah, so we have our own blockchain technology, and we're launching Life Coin, which will be released before August 1st. One of the things that we do also with, which is basically obviously the blockchain technology, is when you send out a medical bill as a doctor or as a hospital, and then the insurance company or other payer that's receiving it, it's designed in this fashion. So there's kind of like an invoice number, which is the claim number. But
Right.
within that claim, there are multiple lines. It's almost the equivalent of you taking your car to the service station and you get an invoice, but then they delineate everything that they did to it.
Sure.
So each one of those lines has this, facial biometric recognition, which avoids that fraud. But in addition to that, because it's on blockchain, our coin can actually advance the money to the doctor so they don't have that waiting game. Most doctors and medical facilities have this lag between the time that they provide the service and when there's actual payment. So we speed all that up. But yeah, we're on top of that. I'm blessed and fortunate to have probably the smartest minds in the country as far as technology is involved. We're partnered up with Palantir, which is highly technical company traded on the exchange, and it's a very recognized company. The government uses them for the anti-terrorism on their Ghost platform, and then in addition to that, we use them with our Foundry platform. The guy who's developed our blockchain is the guy who basically designed and invented Hotmail. He worked for Microsoft. He's not with us. We have very high level people. So I've been architecting this for a long time because I've been practicing law for about 30 years. And what happened is I saw the flaws in the system. And, it's scary, honestly, because I never thought it was as bad as it is. And probably, a $3.8 trillion expenditure a year in our healthcare system, and the data capturing capabilities and the synthesizing of that data and making sure it belongs to the right person, and the way that the bills go out and that they're paid and the government loses hundreds of billions of dollars. That's basically what Life Wallet is about. And then to kind of transcend from that, I saw this opportunity where, from a marketing perspective, because I've run, a lot of programs, we've had our own studios for quite some time. You have to pay a lot of money to advertise, right? So what do? Do you do radio? Do you do TV? Do you do social media? And the name, image, and likeness platform, to my surprise, I thought it was going to be good, but it's been probably 100 times better than I ever expected. These college students are very followed; they're very focused. I'm super happy that when they come in here, they're actually learning a lot. They're learning how to become self-confident. They start, you're in front of a camera. It's not an easy thing to do. People get nervous, different personalities. But they've made such progress, and just in a couple hours, you see how a lot of these, youngsters that are shy and concerned, and I just let them, hey, be free, be yourself. Don't try to imitate anybody. There are a lot of, there are billions of human beings on the earth. We're all different. We all bring something to the table. Somebody else isn't better than you, and that's kind of, and I've created, some real great connection with them, which makes me really happy, because I think that from everything I've done in life, I've always tried to help the youth and the elderly. And to me, being able to help the youth, I'm a guy that, and I'm not criticizing anybody, I don't drink, I've never done a drug in my life. So I'm very clean, and I want to make sure that if I help just one youngster and help the family, alcohol does a lot of bad things in many instances, and then drugs too. And if we can try to take that out of the equation and align these kids, and then we have a summer program, which I'm very proud of, where we bring them in, they try cases, they understand what we do, they either get involved in data or in production or lawyering or accounting. We have all those abilities. So it's been a great program. for us thus far.
Let me
That's
tell you
only
something,
gonna get
John.
better.
Let me tell you something, John. You're also helping them because a lot of them, this is like their first jobs.
Absolutely.
And now they'll learn about earning money, taxes,
Yes.
all these things, because some of these athletes that are enjoying this right now, some of them may end up making even bigger money.
Of course.
Okay, so down the line, now they know how they got to handle business, because as you and I know, plenty of these athletes, the first time they run into a lot of money is post college, and
Absolutely.
then they don't have any experience, and they make all the mistakes in the world. And when they make the mistakes with that kind of money, it sets them back even more at times. Whereas now they get to kind of learn about making money and setting stuff aside, and understanding you will be taxed for this and all that kind of stuff, so they can learn on a smaller scale before they go to life on a larger scale. So you're also giving them life lessons in the process. And I think that in itself is priceless.
I totally agree with you. I mean, I think we all do. I remember when I was a youngster, I did things that I today wouldn't do. Many of them are as simple as jumping off of a trampoline that's 25, feet up from a pool, or just by, spending money in somewhat foolish ways, right? And especially if you don't have the ability, and I've been blessed with the ability to have a career and I can continue the grind. But some people's careers are just based on physical talent, and what happens is, physically we all deteriorate. Our brains may get better, but physically we deteriorate. So when you have a fantastic baseball player or basketball player or football player or hockey or volleyball, whatever it is, as we get older, our bodies slow down. That's why you don't see people that are in their 50s playing professional sports for the most part. That's a great lesson, and I couldn't agree with you more. So I think, setting aside the fact that I'm a strong proponent that, from a constitutional perspective, your name, image, and likeness is a property right. It belongs to you. So if I happen to have either an image that people like or a name that people follow, or they like me for whatever reason, whether it be because of the way that I speak or the way that I look or what I bring to the table, I should be able to capitalize on that. And I saw very wrong that somebody like Justin Bieber, that's not an athlete, can make millions and millions and millions of dollars, and then you're punishing the student athlete that, in many ways, has to put in a lot more time and effort, because it takes a lot more from an everyday. I mean, my two boys and my daughter all played sports. My boys were at the University of Miami. They were getting there at 5:30 in the morning every day and running. I mean, it takes a physical toll on you. They expect a lot out of you, from a mental perspective, and then studying and making the grades. It's a lot of pressure. And, one of the things that we all know is that not everybody makes it to the pros. And not everybody can stay at that pro level. So if once these student athletes can capitalize the right way, doing it legally, doing it intelligently, they become role models for the rest of society and younger kids. Why not bring that into the equation the right way?
John, and John Ruiz joining us here, Life Wallet. If you want to check it out, also it's a great way to really consolidate and bring all of your health information together, and you're always controlling it every second of every moment, which is a real positive. So when you look, a lot of fans are going, okay, John has been a blessing, but I want to make sure we don't get in trouble. So you're obviously very thorough with your business, with the NIL stuff. Walk people through how you work with the University of Miami to make sure you guys are doing everything the right way, because I'm sure there's a process. I went to your offices, by the way, and I saw the studios and all of that. So I know that you're thoroughly going through this thing, doing it the right way. So how is that process so Canes fans can feel good about it?
So, I mean, obviously, I'm an attorney by trade, and obviously, the life and job of an attorney is to dot I's and cross T's, right? So, we look at the law, and I kind of spearhead the whole thing, but I have a team of amazing lawyers, internally. We have over 30 something lawyers. We've all looked at the Florida statute. We've looked at the NCAA rules. I've litigated against the NCAA before. I've litigated against the Florida High School Athletic Association. we understand it very, very well. We're probably in what we do. We litigate against, top companies in the entire country, whether it's Johnson and Johnson, McDonald's, Merck, State Farm, Progressive, Allstate, you name it. We're up against all the big boys and the big law firms and the big companies. So, we take that very seriously. And one of the things that people really ought to understand is we kind of sit in the middle, meaning, Life Wallet sits in the middle. So you have the University of Miami and you have the players. And really, Life Wallet doesn't suffer any consequences other than a business consequence. It is the university and the players that could be sanctioned. Life Wallet can't be sanctioned. Life Wallet isn't within the jurisdiction of the NCAA. So I take even more care, because if I do something, then I could affect the university or I can affect the players. Right. Because if the players deemed ineligible, that's a problem. The university has a problem. So I'm very, peculiar about what we do, how we do it. We've trained our people extremely well. I keep an arm's length distance from the university, not because I don't love it, and I know everybody there, and they're amazing people, all of them. But one of the issues that can surface is that you, as somebody that's providing NIL deals, is trying to lure players because of the NIL deals. So most of the time, what we do is we give a deal to who already committed. Because if you've already committed, there's something in the law called mens rea, which is your intent. If that player already committed to the University of Miami, nobody can come and say that they came because of Life Wallet or they came because of an NIL deal. So when you look at the majority of our deals, these were players that are already there, or people that went into the portal and they decided to go to UM. And then as soon as they do that, we will offer them deals depending on the circumstances of what those particular players themselves bring to the table, because the notion of name, image, and likeness is exactly that. They're not all going to make the same amount of money, which is, I think, is one of the issues with a lot of the platforms you see across the country. They give everybody the same amount. I've never believed in giving everybody the same amount, because everybody has a different value, whether it's an employee or an athlete or whatever it is. We're not all the same, right? So that's problematic. A lot of people are doing this 501c3, which I hate. I think that's super problematic. I've not seen, and not to tout our particular system, I think that we're the only ones that show you the behind the scenes, that the kids come here, that they're working, what they do. And to me, putting a contract together is one of the steps. So yes, we send that contract to the university. The university has to approve it from a compliance point of view. But that's somewhat a little bit gray because of the following. So yeah, they're going to say the contract looks good, the terms look good, they don't violate any of the rules. But what about the next year, right? What about the year after you already started that contract? How do you comply with the terms of the contract that require the kids to appear, that require the kids to post? So we developed a system to make sure that we can get every kid to comply with the contract, because that's another issue separate and apart from the first one.
Because it becomes a real job, not something that, hey, we'll pay you $500 a night and you'll be the bouncer, and meanwhile you don't even show up. And you're, that kind of stuff. So yeah. By the way, you're also in the process. It's kind of like my old man when I was growing up, right? He goes, yeah, no, hey, listen, you need money for food, you need money for clothes. That's great. Okay, you want to take out your girlfriend? You got to go get a job. So you got to. In other words, it was like, you always have money in your pocket, but if you want to go something, now you got to go learn the value of money. And what you're doing is teaching them the value of work, responsibility, commitment, all of those things that, some of those things that some people lack later on in their lives. We're trying to instill it in them early. I like that.
And look, it's not an easy task to monitor that many kids. So we have a pretty large staff monitoring that. So one thing is the price on the contract, right? What we're paying out. But we probably have 25 to 30 people internally monitoring what they do and putting the commercials together and editing, and it's, pre-production and post-production and, behind the scenes. And there's a lot that goes into it that people probably wouldn't understand. What's good about it is that the players do, because they're seeing it and they're experiencing it. And I'm super beyond happy with these youngsters. I call them kids because they're much younger, and no disrespect by it. But the relationship that we as Life Wallet have been able to forge with these youngsters, and they're really, really receptive to what we have to tell them and talk to them about. And, one of the things I'm going to start instituting from a voluntary point of view is every month we're going to start talking to them about all these different things that are not necessarily part of, their job duties, but it's just more of giving back, right? So right. I think, the older we get, the more experienced we get, we can at least share our experiences, with youngsters. And if we're able to do that, and get them to do something that they otherwise were not going to do, or prevent them from doing something that they otherwise should not do, then I think that's a huge positive. And what I also find is the cohesiveness of all these players that are in this NIL deal, that are outside of the world of the actual sport. And they're here and they have to participate with each other. They're either filming commercials together, they're getting to know themselves a lot better. I think that's amazing networking for the future to come. Look, minutes before we started this program, I was talking to a guy that went to high school with me that's a dear friend, and we're doing business. I mean, as we move along in society, we're doing business with people that we either knew or didn't know, and the networking is extremely important.
And when obviously with the commitment with these kids, all right, walk us through the process of them from the beginning to the end. What is the end result for you besides teaching them this? Obviously they're making some money. When they finish the NIL program with you, what happens?
So when they finish the NIL program, that means that their contract is done and over with, because they either are no longer eligible because Florida law does not allow for you to have an NIL deal with someone that's not enrolled in a school. It basically requires them to not be able to participate in an NIL. Right. From that perspective, which is a little odd, and we're challenging that because it doesn't make any sense. I mean, I could potentially want to continue to have an NIL deal with somebody that goes into the pros. I mean, that doesn't make a lot of sense. But anyways, maybe it's just a new contract. There are a lot of nuances that haven't really been defined. But ultimately speaking, there's got to be a quid pro quo. And one of the things that people get stuck with also, which I think a lot of these other places are going to have problems with, is we as Life Wallet can show that if we entered into an NIL deal, and I'm going to use Tyler Van Dyke as an example, right? Because he's done commercials for us. He's on the cigarette platform. Morgan is also, so, they're called upon quite a bit. And what happens is there is a quid pro quo, meaning like we as a company are getting a lot of bang for the buck. Quite frankly, more bang for the buck than I would ever get if I was paying, for advertising, whether it's a billboard or a radio station or whatever the case, or social media, because these contracts are 1 year long. So take, Tyler as an example between the different companies. I think he's got a $65,000 deal yearly with us. That's, probably $5,000 something a month. We get a lot more from Tyler and the commercials that we put out and the people that are viewing these,
for sure,
and the good public sort of goodwill, because not only are you just putting something out, there's a lot of interaction, right? So when Tyler goes somewhere, if I'm there or somebody else from Life Wallet, there's interaction. He's interacting with people. There's a lot of that goes on, and it's a whole year. So figure, where can you pay $65,000, right, for someone to provide that kind of marketing for you, right? So it's hard to do that. Now, obviously, there's a lot more cost from our side than just the $65,000. We got to produce it and put it out there. But bang for the buck, it's great. Now, maybe I'm bidding against myself. Some of these youngsters are going to come back and say, hey, John, I heard you say that you're getting a great bang for your buck. So give me more of that. But I think the kids are not just here. This is one of the good things that I found also. kids are not just looking to see what you're going to pay them in an NIL deal. These kids are actually looking at, what do they get back from the school, meaning like education, how are the coaches, what do they get off the field? They're looking for an totality sort of package. It's not just, hey, I just want to make money and that's it. I think the parents of the kids have done a very good job in understanding there's more to life than just money. And what I feel, me personally, this is just, I'm super pumped and excited because I think Mario is an amazing coach. I think, he is just the guy that feels it. He's assembled an amazing, staff under him. But he's just great for the kids. I mean, the kids respect him. The guy's a workhorse. And then you have, Coach L on the basketball side, which, we saw what they did in the Elite Eight. They made it super duper far. I don't know if you saw the piece where he actually lays on the floor and says who's going to take the charge. I mean, what do you get? I mean, that you got to have coaches like that, right? And then we got Gino DeMaria on the baseball side. Look, I think there's some really, really incredible
Katie
things.
Myers, phenomenal, by the way.
Myers, yeah. So, and then the other thing is, tonight at 8:00, I'm going to be on Twitter, a Twitter space with Jimmy Johnson, which, is obviously somebody who I have a huge amount of respect for. And some fun fact, and that is that I came into the university in 1984. Jimmy Johnson came into the university in 1984. That was right after Schnellenberger had won the championship. And I was a 17-year-old kid, not ever really having gone to a college football game, not having that experience. My parents migrated from Cuba. I was born here, but it was a different environment. My parents weren't following college football or anything like that. So the first game that I ever go to as a college student, and I've said this story before, but I think it's an amazing story. So I'm in the student section. kicks off the ball. We're playing FSU. They kick the ball off on purpose to the left hash mark. It gets thrown across the field, and there's a player that obviously catches the ball there, and I don't know who these players are. And the guy takes off the entire way down the field, and he scores a touchdown. And you have probably 70-something thousand people just all over the place with FSU fans. And I'm just watching this, and it's like this incredible adrenaline that goes in through you. And guess who the guy was? It was Deion Sanders.
Okay.
So my first experience to some play in college football happens to be somewhat arguably, but I don't think there's much to argue there, the best football player ever is probably Deion Sanders. And that guy was incredible after they would play. The agility he had was almost like watching one of those cartoons where the cartoon moves so fast that it's not even human. The guy was amazing. So it was a great experience. And I had that experience of Vinny Testaverde and Michael Irving and Melvin Bratton.
Sure. I lived it.
Highsmith and Jimmy Johnson coming out with the pep rallies, and that was all amazing. And then full circle, I had these guys in my classes, right? And not that I'm that much more known now, but they knew nothing about me. They had no clue who I was or what life would end up bringing. So Mel Bratton, has been to my house at least
dude.
7, 8, 9. A great guy. Means great for the kids, for the youngsters. So is Alonzo. I know
them very well.
I've had the fortune of kind of bringing all that back, which I think is incredible for what that can bring to the younger generation, for what that can bring to the university, right? I think we can't lose sight of this also. People obviously want the University of Miami to win. I'm the first one that wants them to win. I saw you played that clip from CBS. Of course I want them to win. Who doesn't want their university to win? But I think we need to understand that the kids, when I call them kids, the students going through the university are bigger than the university. The university is always going to be there. What is the experience that these kids get when they get in? What are they by the time they get out? What do they leave with? Those are their life tools in many situations. The reason why I'm so excited about Life Wallet and the NIL deals is because I get and my staff gets to participate and give some of that back to these kids during that experience, whether it's 3 years or 4 years. And look, luckily, even internally in my own organization, forgetting about I've had about 3 people end up becoming lawyers because they worked in here and they were motivated and they wanted to continue to go to school. And, to me, that's worth all the money in the world. If we can get kids to take on a career, and it doesn't matter. You don't have to take on a career that somebody else wants you to take. You gotta enjoy, have fun, be a good person to society, treat people with respect, and all that stuff. I could just see it more and more and more. I just signed a deal with Mitchell Agudi. What an incredible young man. Built like an ox. I mean, a physical specimen. But I was super impressed how much this kid knew about finance and reading the contract in detail and just taking matters into his own hands. He's getting to be that adult that one wants him to be, right? And looking over his stuff and showing that he wants to attain. And a lot of them ask me like, hey, how did you get to where you are? Which is great because they're trying to figure out what happened with you. What's your life experience, right? I think all that stuff is amazing. And, it's guys like you that allow me to the platform here to explain, how exciting this all is for I think, every fan's very excited. I'm super excited. As you know, I have 3 kids. They're super excited about the whole project. My 2 boys that were athletes at UM are super involved also. So we're real happy about the whole thing.
All right, John Ruiz joining us, the University of Miami's real left tackle, joining us here, and of course, Life Wallet, and you should look into it. It's a great way to consolidate your health information. All right, before I let you go, I gotta ask you this, and I gotta have a little fun with you because in typical Cuban fashion, este tipo está loco. I had to say something like that when you wanted to build the stadium in Coral Gables, dude. Okay, in Coral Gables High, and you freaked out all the Cavalier alumni and all that stuff. I had friends like, no, dude, I can't lose my high school, this and that. So, all right, so and that obviously speaks of your passion, that you're willing to go to the incredible extremes. Can you, by the way, did you ever imagine trying to convince the city of Coral Gables to build a stadium? That would have been the hardest part, John. Not building the stadium itself. It's convincing the city of Coral Gables to let you build a stadium there. But really, seriously, where does that stand? Where does that stand? Tropical Park, is that a reality? Because that seems like the property that's freaking perfect for a UM stadium.
So here's what I'll tell you, and if people follow my my career, I'm a guy that when I tell you I'm going to do something, I do it. I'm not that type of person that says something and I don't get it done. At least if there's hurdles that I have to overcome and for other people, for other reasons and that's not mine, they don't happen, then obviously I can't control that. However, the Coral Gables Senior High was taken totally out of context. Okay. What happened is that we started to discuss building a stadium and we started looking at different locations. And then all of a sudden somebody said, oh my God, you're looking at, Coral Gables Senior High. And we said, well, that may be something that may be beneficial for the school district, for the school, because we were never looking to do away with the school. It was to improve the school and maybe build next to it, because it is a pretty large tract of land, right, in a close proximity to the school, walking distance, which is kind of what everybody wanted, and that's what was being spoken about. I hate politics, to be honest with you. I've never wanted. Everybody's asking me, why did you run for politics? I hate politics. Our chief legal officer, which is Frank Casada, which is one of the main guys here on MSP2, he used to be a commissioner at the city of Coral Gables. There's another commissioner that works here, who's one of the lawyers, Mike Mena. But I keep a distance between the relationship that I have with commissioners or the mayor and what you should do. Because when you're in the real world of ethics, I don't care who you are. You can be my son, my daughter, you can be my cousin, my parent. You need to act ethically, because just because you have a relationship with people, you should not utilize that for any other reason. What I found interesting is that Carvalho came out and said, no, we'll never do that. And 2 days later, the guy leaves, to California. So look, what I say is I was born and raised here. I've lived here. I went to the University of Miami. My 3 kids have been to the University of Miami. people in my office graduated from Gables High. I've donated to the baseball team in Gables for a long, long time. I've donated to the cheerleading team and the dance. I've donated to Coral Gables for a long, long time. There was never, ever an intent to do away with the school. It was to improve it and to actually get the kids to participate in a lot of the things that could have happened at the stadium, like pre-production, post-production, airing. There's a lot of things that go behind the game that's not just the actual game. Now, surpassing that, because obviously what we were looking at were different locations. That just happened to be one of them. It ended up being not the best location that we thought of. So we are focused on Tropical Park. We've hired HKS. My son, Johnny Ruiz, is spearheading that. We should have in the next 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks. I don't want to give an exact time frame because it's not within our control. We're going to have a schematic for 265 acres thereabouts in Tropical Park. And I think the community is going to be very, very excited about it because we keep talking about a stadium. This is a lot more than the stadium. This is to improve medical facilities, to try to move a good part of Jackson Trauma Center so that helicopters can land and save lives, and access to police and access to fire rescue, and leave everything that you have there, but add softball fields and additional adjacent football fields, not just for but for the public schools. Dade County Public Schools, they lack a lot of baseball fields. They lack football fields. They lack, gymnasiums for basketball and volleyball. That's what we want to bring there. It's going to be basically like a community center, adding the University of Miami as a large stadium, 65,000 facility, and have everything. It's kind of like a mini ESPN Wild World of Sports.
Okay.
That's our vision. It needs a vote from those, at large in the community. And we're moving forward with it.
Fully funded, privately funded, no public money. Is that what we're talking?
We're not asking for any, funding from the public. Okay. Obviously, there's a component of it that it's public land, but they don't have to put up any money. Now, when you really look at it, we're going to show the dynamics of how this works. The amount of money that gets pumped into the economy, because we're looking to build at least one hotel there also, is substantial for the county. Very good. With the arteries are there. I think people are going to be pretty pleased. But look,
for sure.
I've learned in life, you can't always...
John, are you going to build an extra field for high school? Kind of like what Jorge Mas did too when he rebuilt Lockhart. One of the fields is specifically for high school that they can still play high school football, because you're not going to want the main field being torn up by high school games. So are you going to build an adjacent field? It might be even a practice field for UM. I don't know.
We're going to build two adjacent fields. I have pretty good friendship with the Moss brothers. As a matter of fact, I was with Jose last night. Listen, we're doing all of this with all of that in mind.
Of course.
I think that even if you hate the University of Miami and you don't want to see the football team win or whatever the case may be, because a lot of people obviously go to FSU and they go to Florida and then they move back here and maybe they're Gator fans or Seminole fans. It doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, this is a community, attraction. It's going to be something really, really, really good to keep.
Plus, you're going to be able to bring concerts and other events there, so it culturally it'll help us too in the process. I might be able to go there for other things, not just football.
After school activities too. So let's talk about, we got to get really good after school activities there and we think we can add to that, right? So we do a lot of advertising. We do a lot of production for a lot of our companies, but forget our companies. I think the community at large and the businesses within our community should be able to use kids that are still in high school and create programs for these kids, right? I think most of the major companies here have that understanding. And I'm very happy to say that from law firms, to companies like Mastech and ours at MSP and architectural firms, they really bring the youngsters in, which is great. And this is just another potential of doing that. So our vision is to create this schematic and then bring businesses to cooperate, because they're going to be able to enjoy, many aspects of this too. I have pretty good affiliation with BurgerFi and Anthony's Pizza, and I have a lot of relationships that I've built throughout time, and they've just gotten better and better. And I think we can bring a lot of that to fruition. And we're trying to get a racetrack on there also for practice for like Formula One. Right now, May 7th, I'm bringing boat races back to Miami Beach that we never had that before. We're having an event on May 6th in the old Miami Herald location, which is kind of like sort of like an Art Basel concept of what we did. And we're bringing a lot of people.
I would figure you would do it more by Miami Marine, but I guess that stadium is not working. Back in the day, we had some of that then, but unfortunately, that stadium is not what it used to be, because I used to love going to Miami Marine Stadium back in the day, man.
But the races that we're hosting are for bigger boats. So the Marine Stadium is, somewhat smaller for smaller boats.
Right.
These will be racing out, between Collins,
okay. All right, you're talking about the big boys. You're talking about the big boys, the big ass scarabs and stuff. Yes, I got you.
Yeah. So I'll have a boat out by the 3rd week of April. It's called Orange U Fast. You may have seen it on Twitter if you follow that.
Yes.
So it's a really nice design. The Orange U Fast is more or less like Aren't You Fast.
Right.
And that'll be the pace boat. It's orange. It's super cool looking. We're trying to bring a lot of spirit back, just at all different levels. From football to basketball to baseball. We're trying to get women's softball in there. Obviously, we got females that are on our NIL platform.
That was, by the way, when I was at your studios a couple weeks ago to meet Diana. And Diana was terrific, of course, and she's like going in 87 directions. And one of the things that was cool, I saw 3 athletes there. None of them were football players.
Yes.
And that part to me really, I really like that, because it wasn't just, all right, let's give the football and basketball players, the 2 biggest sports, the money, and forget everybody else. And you haven't done that. You have gone after the entire athletic program. That's very cool.
A step further than that. If you look at who we give NIL deals to, it's not just the star athletes, meaning like the 5 stars.
No, I know. Oh, yeah.
I gave to the long snapper. I gave to Prozac that comes from, Key Largo. And, listen, to every parent, their kid is amazing. They're a star. To every community, whoever makes it is a star. And then you have the national level, right? So it goes in scale. It goes like your family thinks you're a star, even if the nation doesn't think you're a star. Your community may think you're a star, even though the nation doesn't think you're a star. And then the nation may think you're a star. And you need to understand that there are different levels in all those places. And all these kids deserve the same opportunity that the superstar, deserves. Because the superstar gets all the attention. The other kids do not get the same attention. We are giving the attention that others may not have given before, and that makes us really happy. And I think the families appreciate it. There's 2 things that I've been extremely impressed with. Number one, the fan base that has is beyond anything I ever imagined. Way better than the Dolphins could ever have, or the Heat, or anybody else. Die hard, super supportive.
Passionate. Yes.
Love, super passionate, number one. Number 2, the families of all of the NIL kids and students have been amazing. I've also seen, to give a shout out to the Malky Kawa of First Round Management.
That's my boy. Yeah, I know Malky very well.
Guys from, the Rosenhaus team, they've really taken an interest and done well for these kids. I gotta, tip my hat off to them. I'm impressed with what they're doing, and I'm proud of what they're doing, because it goes a long way. Because I think ultimately you can be an agent and you can make money, and that's okay, but you got to have the interest, of these kids at hand. Yeah. And that's what I stand for. When I see people that are representing them that have that same kind of giving back, it motivates me more to continue to do business and deals with them, because I think that's what it's all about.
Great stuff, John. I told Diana, no, we're only going to keep him on 10 or 15 minutes, and it's been 53. So I appreciate you, my brother. Thank you for taking some time and talking a little bit about Life Wallet. Hopefully we can have you on again. Hopefully we can do something down the line and build something up. But thank you for taking some time. And I know the Canes Nation is very appreciative of you, man, and what you're doing, because you're giving Mario Cristobal another weapon that he needs in order to combat that SEC. And so it's nice to see the University of Miami now playing at the level of the SEC teams, because that's what he's going to need in order to take them down. So great stuff by you, my friend. I appreciate you taking some time.
Thank you. And the one last thing that I'll say is the time is now.
Amen.
Go Canes. Let's go Canes.
Go Canes.
Right, take care.
Thank you,
Have a
John.
good day. Take care, man. Thank you.
You got it. There you go, John Ruiz. Check out Life Wallet. Looking into it. And by the way, he gave me a little nugget. Life Coin, drop it in August. I think this is a really important thing that you have, to be able to have all of your medical information in one spot that you can easily transfer and move over. This is the reason why Bitcoin will overtake and crush gold. It just...
This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.